All right. So this is my first live stream of 2026. And it just so happens to be during Black History Month. Hello, Cynical One. Thank you for coming through. So I just thought I had to come on here and discuss a moment in Black history that is very interesting. And it pertains to the Great Depression and a certain automobile brand. An automobile name is Cadillac. You see it in the title. No, it's a it was a luxury brand that was invented in 1909 by a man named Henry Leland and a couple of other Ford Motor Company employees. Headquartered in Detroit, Michigan, and they made some a string of firsts as it pertains to cars. Like, that was the first car to have air conditioning and power windows and locks and all these bells and whistles that come with cars today. Cadillac and Lincoln started it. Interestingly enough, the guy that invented the Cadillac invented the Lincoln as well. Now, I learned that a lot later, but and eventually, um, the Ford Motor Company bought out Lincoln, and General Motors bought Cadillac. Yet the guy that started Cadillac remained on the executive side of the company, several years down the road, and it was the top premier car brand. It represented excellence, luxury, prestige, and influence. And and this was the case for the better part of the 20th century, on up until the 80s or even the 90s, because especially in the black community, that was those two, the Cadillac and the Lincoln, were the top premier luxury vehicles. And as a consensus goes, black people love their Cadillacs. Black. I heard comedians crack jokes and stuff talking about some black people don't need reparations because they're not gonna do nothing with the money except buy Cadillacs. But my thing is it's their money. I mean, they can do what they want with their money once they get it, and then better yet, they can pay cash for the Cadillac. They ain't even got to get it financed, depending on how much their reparations check is. No, to tell the truth. But getting back on track. So now, what does this have to do with Black History Month? So, well, during the Great Depression, the car brand was on the brink of bankruptcy because the Great Depression. There was a lot of widespread unemployment, poverty, and the Great Depression pretty much birthed the idea of the housing projects. That was like some temporary housing for the unemployed and the downtrodden, the suddenly become downtrodden people due to this economic crash during the time period between 1929 to 1939, I think. It lasted 10 years. So a lot of car brands suffered big time, including Cadillac and General Motors. Now, here's where it gets real interesting. Cadillac, and on a larger scale, General Motors, who owns Cadillac to this day, they had a no sale to Negroes policy back then. So the black elite, the black people with the means to buy these luxury vehicles, which were the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the politicians, the pastors, and people like that, the people, black people that managed to own the business back then, those were the main clientele of. I mean, they were part of the. They were the main clientele as far as the black community goes when it comes to purchasing Cadillacs back then. But what they had to do was they had to use white men to act as middlemen, or should I say, intermediaries to buy Cadillacs. In other words, they had to pay white men to go into these dealerships to buy Cadillacs for them and come out and give the cars to the black man that handed them the money, that paid them to go in there. So that might have been this lasted until 1934, and so this manager named Nicholas. I forgot his last name. I just know his first name is Nicholas, but he was a manager of the service department, and he noticed that a lot of black people were coming in there to get their car serviced, and he found out that they were using middlemen, white men as middlemen to negotiate prices and finance situations to pay for repairs or whatever service, what have you, or buying the vehicle. And so he started a committee, some type of committee among the board of directors back then, and since they were on the brink of bankruptcy, the committee was to discuss whether or not Cadillac is going to continue operations or cease operations. And if they're going to continue operations, maybe they need to. The guy was like, maybe we need to lift the ban of sales towards the black community. Directly start to directly market to the African American community if we want to stay afloat, stay in business, and not go under. Well, long story short, they listened. Cadillac, the powers that be at Cadillac, listened to this manager's pitch, proposal, or what have you, and this resulted in a sales boost of 70%. Their sales boosted 70%. They had a 70% increase in sales. And now it's not clear what they got in return for indirectly bailing them out. I don't know if they got discounts or they were able to buy stock in Cadillac. I would have, because I'm a part of you staying in the game. you know, I need at least 10%. Shoot. But it didn't discuss whether or not they did. So it just goes on to say that black people are a major part in them staying in the car industry. So there you have it. It just goes to show the purchasing power that the black community had, and even back then during the Great Depression, and this occurred in 1934. 5 years into the Great Depression, and so decades later, the Cadillac would become a symbol of excellence, overcoming obstacles, success, perseverance. This will become symbols of style and perseverance in the black community. became a status symbol. So on through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, yeah, this was the case. Now, there's a certain website that I came across that pretty much that wants to downplay the significance of black people being a part of Cadillac's boosting sales. They want to say that the black people alone didn't assist in their coming out of a rut of being on the brink of bankruptcy. They want to give credit to Cadillac's change in policies towards implementing significant production reforms that reduce manufacturing costs while maintaining quality within the first 3 years of this increase in sales. And so my thing is, well, that wouldn't have been able to take place if black people hadn't stepped in and bought these cars to keep them in the game anyway. No improvements, no tweaking, no innovations would have took place at all if they had decided to go into bankruptcy. If that man hadn't went in there and created a committee to convince them to pivot and eliminate the racist practice of limiting sales to only non-black people. None of this would have been able to take place if it wasn't for the black people that had the means to come in and buy these cars. So whoever wrote that piece, they can never mind. So they're saying that Cadillac, with these new reforms, they were able to match the production of lower end General Motor cars, namely Chevrolet and Pontiac and Oldsmobile. And then they want to give credit to the economy rebounding as one of the reasons why Cadillac recovered. And again, Cadillac wouldn't have been in the game at all if they had went into bankruptcy, if that man hadn't walked in there and convinced those higher ups at Cadillac and General Motors to lift the ban of sales towards Negroes. So all of this, all the stuff that this guy is talking about came after Cadillac sales boosted 70%. 70% now. That's way over half. That's a lot of improvement. A huge number in cars than what you previously were selling. I mean, word is that before 1934, Cadillac only produced 65,000 cars. When during the pre-depression era, they were selling 300,000 cars, 400,000 cars. So now during the depression, they down to 65,000, and their sales boosted by 70% because black people came in and took all them cars off of their hands. Okay. But you want to give credit to the economy and Cadillac tweaking their manufacturing practices and coming up with new things for the car. Yeah, right. Again, none of this would have been able to take place if it wasn't for that 70% increase in sales. Cadillac wouldn't have existed in the first place. And then the article gonna say that there is little evidence that the company marketed directly to the black community. There's no numbers showing that. And while the no sale to Negroes ban was lifted, Cadillac didn't get the memo. They still didn't direct market it. Well, my thing is they didn't have to really market toward them because black people apparently, the black people with money, they apparently liked Cadillac anyway, since they were already using white men as intermediaries or mediate or middlemen to buy the cars for them. They didn't have to market towards them. So there's that. So I knew it was something. I knew it was somebody that was gonna try. I knew there was somebody that was gonna try to downplay the black community's role in this. I just knew it. So there you have it. And he gonna talk about it's an exaggeration to say that the black community saved the brand single-handedly. Oh boy. Somebody was over there hurt. They hurt inside. They just can't stand the fact that the black community played a positive and productive role in a corporation's prominence. They just can't stand it. But the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. It says it. I mean, they were on the brink of bankruptcy, and since they lifted that ban, oh, and another thing, that manager got a promotion. He was promoted to head of service or something, head of something. He got a top position. I forgot what it was, but yeah. So it was him getting that committee together and the black community. They both worked in tandem to save the Cadillac brand. So yeah, the writer of the article can kick rocks talking like this. Yeah. Yeah, and Cadillac was and I've always liked the Cadillac myself. All throughout the 80s and 90s, I used to like those 78, 79 models, those sedan DeVilles, and my uncle had a Coupe DeVille, I think, a navy blue Coupe DeVille. That thing was clean. So even back then, I noticed that the Cadillac was a huge hit in the black community. And all throughout the 90s too, when them Escalades came out, people went to the dealership in droves and bought them Cadillac Escalades. When they decided to get into the SUV arena. Yep. But now them Cadillacs, they started to make them Cadillacs look like Hondas. I know the people that designed them Cadillacs in the 80s and the 70s. I know they are rolling over in their graves right now. They rolling over in their casket. Because these new Cadillacs, they look like Honda Accords and all this crap. Looking like Infinities now. I'm like, nah, this ain't it. Nah. But people from a lot of people that live in Detroit or even the state of Michigan, they probably already know the story. They probably already know because um, the Cadillac brand was named after a French explorer that founded Detroit, and so I'm already knowing when they started building all those plants up there, they they decided to name one of their brands after him. Yeah. So I just want to share that with you all. And I got to get ready to get up out of here. I got to get on this highway, get ready to head home and whatnot. And I will holler. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure you hit the like button, and I'll holler at you later. Peace.